So this is the FLYght trap that Giri will be distributing in India. If you look at this FLYght trap, it's glowing, but it's not very bright. On top of that, it's a very small unit, but it's highly, highly attractive to flies. And the reason for this is if you look at the back, there is a piece of white at the back, a white board. Now that white board is glowing at 480 nanometers. How do we activate that surface? That surface is activated by LED lights. And the LED light is not facing forward, but it's facing backwards. And there's actually a reason for this. Now we have played around with UV LEDs, and we found that UV LEDs are not nearly as good as a fluorescent tube. And the reason is this: when you run an LED, to our eyes, an LED looks like a UV light, a blue light. But to the eyes of the insect, it is releasing a super amount of light in one concentrated point. And what happens is it saturates the eye of the insect. So if any of you have used UV LED lights to try and attract the fly, what you will see is the fly will come near to the light and then it will fly away. It is because the intensity of the UV LED repels the flies. So in our light traps, the UV LED does not face forward. In fact, it faces to the BioVE surface, the visual enhancer surface. And in doing so, we can also use much less LEDs. So we are super energy efficient. I believe in this light trap, we have between 6 or 8 LED lights only. So how does our light trap compare, or our technology, the BioVE technology, compare with other traps? Now, just to let you know, FLYght One trap is our first product coming out on the market. There will be more products coming out later on in the market, and we're looking to partner with companies, and Giri is obviously looking at companies to give feedback so that feedback can help us develop FLYght 2 and FLYght 3 and FLYght 10 and FLYght 20. Anyway, so let me just go on to the performance. Now we tested these light traps against a leading competitor product in India. And these tests were conducted in our laboratory in Bangalore. And what we found was consistently, our light trap was able to catch more flies faster and catch more flies in total than the competitor product. Now, the competitor product is, I can't really say the competitor product because I don't think it's proper, but it's one of the leading light traps in your country and uses 2 tubes. So it's a 15, 30 watt insect light trap. And for our unit with a much lower electricity need, was able to catch a much larger number of flies. So I'm coming to the end of my presentation. So to summarize, our unique patented BioVE technology uses UV LEDs. And what we do is we activate visually attractive surfaces that creates this lovely color that is highly attractive to flies. And LEDs on their own will only create one wavelength of light. What we are able to do is create 2 or more wavelengths of light: the light from the LED and the visually enhancing surface, yeah, the visually attractive surface. So we activate a surface and we can generate a variety of different wavelengths of light tuned to the eyes of the flies. We can also manage the intensity so that we don't cause saturation of the eye of the fly and hence reduce their attraction into the trap. I believe a lot of you will be looking at UV LEDs to replace into your current fluorescent tube traps. I think you'll find the minute you do that your fly catch numbers will drop significantly. And this is because of the nature of the intensity of LEDs. Okay? Our technology is based on biology, on biomimicry of carnivorous plants found in nature. You don't need to play around. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. We just looked around in nature to find how nature has been highly attractive to insects and then incorporated that into our technology. So our LEDs intensity is normalized for the insect eyes. So it's not too bright. It's just nice to achieve optimal attraction. And this is the best thing about this, because it's UV LEDs, the output of UV is consistent. If you put a fluorescent UV tube into a light trap, the day you put that tube in is the best day of UV output. It decreases significantly over 9 months. After 9 months, the amount of UV output that's coming out from that light trap is very, very low and unable to effectively attract insects. So what you need to do is, that's why you guys replace those tubes every 9 months or every year, depending on the standard that's in your country. And that's why you have to replace those tubes. But with LEDs, the UV output remains constant throughout the life of the product. So you don't need to ever change the source of UV. Our traps have also been designed to take standard universal glue boards, so don't worry about that. The glue boards that you have stored in your stores can be used. It's the ones that perforate, that separate in the middle. So it forms, instead of one big glue board, it separates into two halves. And we insert those two halves into our trap. It's a metal casing as well, so that it's strong, durable, can take knocks and things like that you have in any of the facilities that you may be installing them for your customers. It's extremely energy efficient. I believe Giri will talk a little bit about that. It uses less than 10 watts, less than one tube of a fluorescent unit. And I think Giri's done some fantastic calculations that he will share with you later as a good selling point for your customer. So it attracts flies faster, it attracts more flies, and it does it with less energy. And it's also able to last more than 5 years in the field without needing to change the bulb. So you put the day you install that light trap, you only need to service the glue boards for more than 5 years. You don't need to do anything else. Maybe give it a clean once in a while. But apart from that, you only need to change the glue boards. The unit will do its job for you. Also, unlike tubes, it is intrinsically shatterproof. Now, currently, you have to buy tubes that are slightly more expensive so that you have a shatterproof coating. And then on top of that, that shatterproof coating that they use reduces the amount of UV that's coming out of the bulb. It absorbs about 5 to 8% of the UV. It's just inevitable. But whereas with the LEDs have no glass, so they aren't shatterproof. There is no worry about that. So they're intrinsically shatterproof. So again, cheaper for operating costs. And because the UV, when you have a tube, normally you will have the glue board behind the tube. And that means that the glue board is also absorbing UV. And this is what makes your glue boards less sticky over time. And that's why you change them, every 30, 40 days. If you don't change them for 2 months, the stickiness is almost gone. But whereas with our light traps, because the UV is not projected onto the glue board, but it's projected onto a glowing board behind that has no glue, the glue boards are not in direct contact with the UV. This makes them stay sticky for a much longer time. So if you don't need to change your glue boards every month, because you don't have that huge a fly problem, especially indoors, our product's good for you because it can reduce the number of times that you may need to